Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raykel Tolson, and this podcast is to help you experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Okay? I'm a firm believer that being blessed is a mindset, and we can make a daily decision to be blessed. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world, or even in our homes. We can make a decision that we are going to be blessed, and that is what I'm here to encourage you to do. I'm broadcasting on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, a nonprofit radio broadcast with the mission to empower, encourage, and educate. If you are enjoying the Blessed Podcast, please donate. Go to www.wytv7.org. Donate because you want to hear more from me and my guests. I'm sponsored as usual by Tolson's Publishing. Hey, is anybody journaling? This have you started? Is that one of your New Year's resolutions to journal? I have a journal called I Am Blessed Journal. It's for newbies if you are new, because sometimes you see all of that stuff that you have to write and you don't want to do it. And I promise you, this journal is different. It's just a little bit of information that you just have to jot down the wins, just jot down the wins so you remember that you are blessed. All right, let's get into it. It is January. We're all making, New Year's resolutions. We're all we reevaluate how we were living in 2020, how we want to live in 2021 and going forward. I'm all about wholeness, wellness. It's, mind, body, spirit. We talked about money last week because we were getting physically fit. I know y'all we all need to get physically fit. I know that. So I brought on a doctor. Yes, a doctor. Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. She is going to talk with us about wellness and being physically fit, but it's probably not what you think. So please listen to her. Let me just give a quick introduction. She is a women's health expert, an entrepreneur, an inventor, a business leader who specializes in female pelvic medicine and reconstructive surgery for over 20 years. She is the first female in the United States to become a board certified urogynecologist. All right, that's what I'm talking about. These are the kind of people that I'm bringing to you on Blast. Welcome, Dr. Betsy.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I really feel honored and blessed to be here.
Yeah, so you have so much to talk about because I'm just gonna throw out a lot of questions, okay, and
Sure.
then you just elaborate how you want. So I first want to discuss the fact that you are a doctor, but you really believe in health and wellness, and it's not what we're normally used to Western medicine being. So just explain a little bit of what you do.
Well, so for 15 plus years or so, was a urogynecologist and, I was trained in traditional medicine. But what happened is, kind of out over time, seeing patients, I started to realize that like all the medicine in the world, all the surgery in the world, all the physical therapy in the world isn't enough to get a person healthy. And, interesting enough, I have my own show here now on WYTV7 called Body, Mind, Spirit, because it's so important. And I see it time and time again. I see people going to the doctors and they're like, why am I not getting better? Because it's not just the physical. Because if you don't address both the mind and the spirit, it's like a stool with 3 legs, right? So you're taking, you're eating right, you're exercising, which, hey, I know not all of us are doing that. And I'm probably the poster child for not doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing. But let's just say you're eating perfectly, you're exercising, you're getting all the sleep you're supposed to. But if you neglect that mind and that spirit aspect of total health, that stool is going to topple over. And so, really, truly, we need to have all 3 aspects of the stool having equal legs for you to enjoy total health.
Yeah.
And it's really, as doctors, that's what we end up doing. We're addressing mostly the body aspect, because that's what we can do. So I can recommend medications, I can recommend supplements, I can recommend a healthier diet. But we really, in today's busy lifestyle, we don't realize, number one, how much stress our brains are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And what happens, for example, in caveman times, when we were stressed, it was a very quick stress that would happen to us and then it would go away. And how our bodies would react, if we see a saber-toothed tiger, we're like, oh no, saber-toothed tiger. And our body goes, oh my gosh, we're stressed. And then immediately we make all these hormones that increase our heart rate, we run away. And then once we're safe, everything comes back down again. So during that time of stress, all our energy is put into our bodies to run away, get away, and it's really sucking away resources from our hormones, from reproduction, from digestion, because it really, your body doesn't need to do those things when you're running away from a saber-toothed tiger.
Right.
But in today's modern world, because we're constantly under mental stress, we're triggering the same process. And so the problem is, nowadays, we're not getting away from the saber-toothed tiger and then coming back to baseline. Our bodies think we're, and our mind thinks we're still running constantly away from saber-toothed tiger. And we're really draining our body. And this is really the basis for a lot of chronic diseases. So that we need to really stop. And I love when you were talking about the journaling, and that's one of the things I tell people all the time, to make a gratitude journal, or sometimes we'll call it the badass journal. Just write down all the things that you've accomplished. And, sometimes I've done this myself, and sometimes you're sitting there and you're like, oh, what have I done? Well, sometimes it's just as easy as, I made the bed today. Like, I can tell, especially for my kid.
Out of the bed today.
Yes.
I got out of the bed. That's a win. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a win.
And that's, you're starting your day doing that, you've already won something. And so it's just a matter of changing the mindset, because it's so easy to go down that road of like, poor me, and I'm a victim. And that becomes so self-consuming, when we need to change our mindset, not just for our health, but just for general life happiness, is that you start to see all these little wins, and it feeds on itself and it grows.
But let's back up some, because I want to talk about how the stress really causes the chronic diseases that we see. Because I was thinking, when you were talking about the saber-toothed tiger, seriously, for most Americans, I don't know, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but I bet for most of the Americans, that saber-toothed tiger is debt.
Yes.
I'm gonna pay my mortgage, which is a debt. So debt. I'm gonna feed my kids. A lot of that stress that we are under is financial stress. That's why I started the year off, the 2021, with about physically getting fit, because that does affect the stress in your mindset. And you're telling us that stress can cause us to need to go to the doctor. It can cause the chronic diseases like the diabetes, the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol, all the things that COVID in 2020 let us know, that when you're dealing with this, your immune system is kaput.
Yes.
And it makes you susceptible to these bugs that can kill you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And it's all connected. I mean, now of course, sometimes there's debt. I mean, there's stress that is a little bit harder to deal with, like financial stress. We have so many people over the last year who lost their jobs, or their businesses were not as successful because of quarantine and COVID. And the problem becomes is not so much that debt or that financial stress, is how you view it, and how do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
mentally handle it. I mean, if you sit there and you're worrying about it and worrying about it, like, now you bring your spiritual aspect into it. And for good many of the listeners on this channel, that's calling in God and accepting that there's a bigger plan, and that there's something that's going to improve in the future, and we might not necessarily know that plan, or
Right.
maybe not be able to
Right.
see it, but there is a plan. And so it's just really kind of taking a deep breath, accepting that there is a larger plan, putting your trust into something that's beyond yourself,
Mhm.
and just kind of, or even just looking at it differently. I mean, there's been studies, for example, there's been studies with patients with cancer,
Okay.
and they've looked at patients with cancer going into cancer treatment with a bad attitude, like, oh my God, I have cancer, I'm going to die.
Mhm.
Or there's people going in to cancer treatment with, okay, you know what? Maybe this is stressful, and or it is stressful,
Right.
but I'm going to trust and believe, and I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to do things like meditate, or I'm going to get a hobby or something just to calm yourself down. Well, they took those two different groups, and they found that the people that went in with a better mindset physically did better with their cancer treatment than those who went in with a bad attitude. And that the ones that went in with a bad attitude were more likely to die than those who went in with a good attitude. So it really shows you that how mindset can actually help.
I
And
totally believe that. I am a member of the New Thought church, and so we focus a lot on, we bring our thoughts bring about what we, have to deal with in life. And I'm not saying, Anthony, for people that you have thought cancer into your life because you think, I'm gonna get cancer, I'm not saying it. But I will say one of the things that I have found, just I'm being more mindful of everything. When I'm watching TV, there's so many
yes,
commercials about cancer. Let me tell you, and it just in my spirit, I was like, and the cancer drugs are very helpful. But my thing is, do we need to see them? And I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist.
yes,
I've always hated the fact that they put commercials about medication because I'm the one that they call. Well, what about this? First of all, I'm not your doctor. You and your doctor should have a conversation about what you take. But then I'm answering all these questions about the drugs and about it. But those commercials, in my opinion, they make people focus on what if I get cancer? What if I get cancer? What if I get, you know what I'm saying? And they are whatever all the other diseases that and I'm just like, I don't think that we need those. I
no.
wish it was a way. That's why I just fast forward. It's almost difficult for me to watch live TV because I can't fast forward through the commercials.
It's interesting because I'm like fascinating with this whole idea too of belief medicine. And I've been reading tons about it, and they've shown too that things that we expose our brain to, like when we watch TV and say that there's something really, I mean, I don't know about you, but I cry at everything on TV.
I do too. I do.
But so they say when you watch TV, like if it's a stressful event on TV, or you're in a movie, or even the news, I think the news is probably one of the worst things to watch, because your brain doesn't know the difference between, like, okay, I'm watching something for entertainment versus it's really happening. And so a lot of the processes in the body that trigger stress, like you're watching, say, like a very suspenseful scene in a movie, you will find yourself yourself tensing up because your brain is still going to react to it like it's real. And so sometimes we need to really separate ourselves and look at like what are the things that we're exposing ourselves to in life, and are they causing us undue stress that we don't need.
Yeah,
Like
that
I
is.
said, I had to stop watching the news because I think my blood pressure was getting so high just from the anxiety producing, because the media to sell, they need to create drama because,
Yes.
and here's why, is our going back to our caveman and woman brains, our brains are made to scan for threat because what's kept us alive and kept us
Right.
well. So how does our brain scan for threat right now? It looks for bad news. It looks for drama. And that's how, and the media knows this, and this is how they sell, because you know what? If you watch their channel, they make more money.
Right.
If you are clicking on their website more, that's better for them. So the only way they can sell is working. They know how to manipulate that portion of the brain, and so that's how they're able to draw this business in. But really, I mean, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she just was like, I can't watch the news anymore. She's like, it made her so anxious. And I was like, no, good. Because honestly, if there was something bad that was happening in the world, it is bad enough that you needed to know about it, you probably have a social connection where somebody in your circle is going to be like, oh my gosh, did you hear this
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
You know?
That's so interesting. Yeah, it's like be careful of the eyes, what you see, what you see. Be careful of the ears, what you hear. I think about the little songs that we learned when we were little and in vacation Bible school and stuff, and it's like really true. And we didn't really get the complete lesson, but it's because we intake that, and our subconscious mind is really what controls our body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people don't like. It's like you do not have to take a breath. Subconsciously, you're taking a breath. Now, when we want to have deep breaths and all that, we consciously take deep breaths, but we don't consciously take a breath every few minutes. It's a subconscious thing. Our heartbeat, we're unconscious about our heart beating. The subconscious works that. The subconscious is in control of all of those things. But if your subconscious is have all these negative kind of things in it, it's going to negatively affect how it operates your body. Like it seems like such a woo-woo thing. And that's why it was good to have somebody that actually has an MD, because you are saying the same things and you actually went through medical school. So you really did learn about that. They didn't necessarily tell you, but yeah, subconsciously, if you put this in people's thoughts, that I don't know if they taught you that, because I know at pharmacy school they didn't teach us about that.
No, at the time, but I think like they're becoming more and more information. Like for example, I love this idea of we are not even our genetics, because when I was in school, the thought was, all right, you have your genes and that's what you have, and you know what? And that's all you're getting and you can't change it. And
Yeah,
so nowadays they found out, no, we can act like our genes are like light switches and we can turn them on and turn them off. And
really.
so, yeah, there's a great book called The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. And I absolutely love this. And so one of the things I get worried about is everyone's doing these genetic tests and they're like, oh my God, I have the gene for breast cancer and I have the gene for this, or it doesn't mean that you're going to get it, because
All
you
right.
have the power to actually turn those genes on and off. And one of the ways to keep yourself healthy and not turn on those bad genes is to be relaxed and to be more in what's called a parasympathetic state, which is that relaxed state where you're not stressed, where you can just take it easy and you're more likely to be healthy. We could also affect those genes by diet. If we're eating an inflammatory diet, which is really pretty much anything that's processed, a lot of the processed foods, the high fats in processed foods, the sugars in processed foods, that causes inflammation. It affects our gut, and these can turn on and off what we, especially oncogenes, which are genes that can cause cancer. So we have that ability.
Yeah, and it's like really interesting that we don't hear more commercials about that as opposed to the medication.
Because it doesn't sell and it doesn't make money.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, the drug companies make a lot of money, but when it's all said and done, we have farmers that can make a lot of money because people will start buying more whole foods.
Yes.
We have people, we have these big companies that sell, I'll just that sell craft, the macaroni and cheese or whatever, but they can start selling other stuff. Like they don't have to go out of business because we're saying, hey, we don't want all this processed food. What they can do, or they can say, hey, you know what? We know that this pasta, if you mix it with all this other stuff is bad, but how about doing pasta and mixing it with vegetables? And then so they can still sell the pasta, but then they're just like telling us to add all these healthy stuff to it as opposed to that processed cheese that they do. Because even with good macaroni cheese, you would use some real cheese. It's like, come on, man.
And that's the thing too with people when it comes to diet. I tell them, you don't have to be perfect. If you do what you're supposed to 80% of the time, and then you do the fun foods, the processed foods like 20% of the time, you're still ahead of the game.
Yes.
And then I also hear a lot from people that, organic foods are expensive or the healthy foods are expensive, and they can be. But one of my good friends, Dr. Terry Walls, who she wrote a book called The Walls Protocol, she was able to cure her own multiple sclerosis by changing her diet. And she was telling me not too long ago that if she could get people that are on food stamps eating organic and healthy, then anybody can do it. And one of the recommendations she would say, which I love this idea, was if those foods are expensive, find a farmer's market and go to the farmer's market and hit them up at the end of the day, because those farmers don't want to have to take that food back with them. So you say, hey, how much if I take this off your hands? And they're more likely to sell it to you for a less price. And then the farmer's markets a lot of times are cheaper anyway than if you go to the store for these healthy foods. But, in that, going back to food, Hippocrates in 440 AD said, let food be thy medicine. Right. And we know that, stress and diet are probably the two components to why people have chronic disease. If you can fix your diet and fix your stress and also, work with the mind and the spirit, right, then you got it made.
That's awesome. We are getting close to the time when we have to end. So you already discussed that you have a new podcast on WYTV7, Body, Mind, and Spirit. When can when do the podcast air?
I think I'm right before you. I'm Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, you are right before me because I'm at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So, all right. So you're one of my Wednesday partners.
Yeah.
And if the listeners want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. Well, they can find me at drbetsygreenleaf.com. I'm all over social media. Just look up Dr. Betsy Greenleaf because I'm either Dr. Betsy Greenleaf or Dr. B Greenleaf. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to let you, I know, even though I'm a urogynecologist, my new practice, which is at greenleafbewell.com, it's more of a wellness practice, even though I also do some pelvic health. But I also want to let people know that I am a CEO of a store called the Pelvic Floor Store. Mm-hmm. .com, which has pelvic health products, because I found my patients, those products were really hard to come by. And so I would try to get them all in one place.
Okay.
And for your listeners, if they're interested, there is a coupon, which is Blessed 10. and that gets you 10% off of any orders over I think $35.
Okay, we will put that up so everybody can get that. Before we go, 'cause we have like 5 minutes left, I want to talk really quick because pelvic health, women, I'm a woman, so I'm, that's where my heart is gonna always be with the women listeners. But I am 51. I had a hysterectomy. We talked about this. After you have a hysterectomy, most of us be like, well, we need to go to we don't need the pelvic, But Dr. Betsy, do we still need to go to a gynecologist?
Yes, you do, because there's other things that could be happening. So you really want to have things checked at least once a year, because you might not need the pap smear anymore, but there's still things that we're looking to make sure nothing's drooping or dropping, which can happen, especially after people have babies. Oh, and that's something that I'm hosting a summit later this spring, which I don't exactly have the dates, but it'll be on my website. It's called the Happy Vagina Rally.
Okay.
And it's for perimenopausal and menopausal women. We have over 30 experts that will talk all the things you ever needed to know about pelvic health.
Yes, I love it. So make sure you give us that information. And everybody go to her website, Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. You can go on the WYTV7 and probably get the information there. You can go to the Tribe Called Blessed, join our Tribe Called Blessed, and we will put the information there because that sounds like an awesome summit. The Happy Vagina Summit. I love it.
And then I'm working on a book, which I'm hoping to get out later this year, which will be the Happy Vagina Diet. So it will talk about using food to help with pelvic health.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being a guest and helping us with our health and wellness. Everybody, I know I'm always talking about mindset. But now I have had an MD come and talk to us, or is it DO, right?
A DO.
Right, but everybody, oh my gosh, but it's just so awesome because I've said it, that mindset is so important. And I know y'all probably wish she knew. She just, listen, the medical profession has spoken. Your mindset is in control. You have to control your mindset because your mind will control your body.
Yes.
Subconsciously, consciously, it is controlling your body. Be careful about what you are focused on. Be careful about what your beliefs are. Because if you believe that being overweight will cause you to have all those diseases, yes, they will. Because I can guarantee you, I am overweight. I'm not promoting being overweight. I am just saying that being overweight does not have to equal being unhealthy. Change that first. Then we can work on, getting our weight down and all that. But as we get older, things happen. Sometimes some people go up, some people go down, but we can still be healthy. We have to start our mindset. And with that mindset, you're like, oh, I'm healthy. I need to eat more healthy stuff.
You know what
person.
I always say to people, it's like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. You have the power inside of you. You have the ruby slippers. There's nothing that your doctors can do to give you perfect health. It all has to start with your mindset first.
Yes, I love that. Oh, the Wizard of Oz, the Wiz, and believe in yourself. Well, we got 2 minutes. We have to go. You all know how to get in touch with Dr. Betsy. We're going to put it on the screen. It will be on the website. Thank you so much for being here. And for all my listeners, thank you for listening to this episode. And until next week, remember what God has done for others, He will do the same for you. Be blessed.
Swing Into Their Dreams Foundation presents the golf tournament of the year, raising scholarships for aspiring National Golf Club in Milton, Georgia. The inaugural HBCU Swing Into Their Dreams Charity Golf Tournament. Registration and gourmet continental breakfast begins at 8 a.m. and shotgun at 10 a.m. Award reception follows. Come enjoy a day of jazz, mimosa, cigars, cash bar, silent auction, and more. For more information, contact 770-686-7143. Don't miss it.